there's a lot of women typing in, my marriage is in desperate crisis, and there's a lot of men typing in the same sort of thing. How would your advice look differently, or would it?
Generally speaking, men are going to be less inclined to talk to somebody about it. They're going to be more likely to suffer alone. And so my advice to a guy is going to probably start with, and it probably would be the same for a woman, but I'll let Lisa speak to that, but of hey, acknowledge it. Tell somebody that you're struggling, get some help, get some counseling, all of that stuff. Because we just are going to tend to think that it's a sign of weakness. We just inherently think we should be able to solve every problem that comes our way. And when our marriage is struggling and we have tried different things, we've tried to figure it out, it's just almost it feels disempowering to say, I don't know how to solve this problem. And so the enemy will just you're a loser, you're a failure, you're not good enough, you should be able to solve this problem, what's wrong with you? And those are the voices that will keep us as men from saying something, because nobody wants to get up and go, I'm a loser, I can't figure this out. But the reality is the pathway to winning often involves acknowledging I'm stuck here and I need some help outside of myself. And so my advice to the women would be, I think they tend to not be as slow to talk about it, but to be really mindful of who they're talking about it with. And when I think about some of the marriages that are really close to us that have dissolved over the last couple of years, there's some patterns of, and it's not just women, men do this, again, there are exceptions to all of this, but don't go surround yourself with other people who have recently gone through a divorce. Not because they're bad people, right? I'm not talking, but don't choose, this is the season that I'm going to really zone in on my friends who are either hate their marriages, going through difficulties in their marriage, or divorced, because you're going to potentially reinforce some of these things. Go find some people that have vision for you two together and are going to remind you of the truth about your husband when you're so angry at him that you want to walk away, that are going to be hey, because you'll have people in your life that'll go, yeah, you should never be treated like that. You're better than that. There are better guys out there, or you're going to have people that are going to go, hey, you guys committed to each other. There's hope. Let's figure out how to get help. And so I think just being really mindful for both men and women of who are you, what voices are you listening to on a recurring basis, because they do shape how you start to think about things.
Would you add a quantitative layer to this in addition to quality? Because quality of the person that you're talking to, you don't want somebody who's just yeah, you tell her what's up sort of thing. But I would even say, if you're going to go into the hard stuff with someone outside of your marriage, if you have to do that with more than two people, you may just be talking to too many people. I mean, I don't want to make it legalistic, but it seems like you don't need too many people to tell the details to. Would y'all agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And one of them should be a therapist. Somebody could have a pastor, somebody that can at least speak truth to you. And that may be where I was going with that, is not only the types of people, but that you just don't, I think men maybe would never talk about it, and sometimes women may be inclined to talk too much about it. And again, as a husband, when I hear a compliment that Lisa gave second, third hand, man, she was telling me about how you did this and how much it meant to her, that, I mean, you might as well put a cape on me and call me a superhero, because I just feel amazing. But also, if I hear through the grapevine that she's frustrated about me, it hurts,
Yeah, and I would say too, just more of a word of caution to both men and women, not only choosing wisely the same gender to talk to, but just having your eyes wide open to know the tactics of the enemy. When you start kind of confiding in someone who's of the opposite sex, it can very quickly cause an emotional connection. And so just being conscientious about that. And I would just reiterate that people who are going to point you back to truth, people who are going to, just personally, when we have gone through some of our marriage stuff, there were a few people I knew that I could go and talk with that were safe. They were going to, one, they were going to hold in confidence what I would share. Two, they would fight for us. They would fight with us and for us to help us. And I know that we could show up on the doorstep at, midnight and they were going to say, come on in, like, let's talk. Because every couple gets stuck. And I think that is the deception of the enemy, is for us to just believe that we're alone. No one goes through this. And that's just such a lie. Every couple goes through really, really hard stuff. And so to walk into somebody's door of a trusted other couple and say, hey, we are stuck. Here's where we're at. And to be able to share and for them to go, okay, so here's what I hear you saying. Here's what so many times the breakdown is in communication. We've already made up in our mind what he thinks, even though we're not actually listening to what he actually thinks. And so I just think, there's some pretty serious issues in marriages that are going to require more than just a trusted couple or friend. But if we could just get into the habit of going, I'm going to fight for my marriage however is best, whatever we need to do. And I just think people tend to go, well, like, she's never going to change. He's never going to change. Right. And so we just kind of move on or we just coexist and that's miserable. Yeah. My grandparents were married 50 years and my mom always jokes, she always says, they were married 50 years and they only had one fight. It just lasted all 50 years. Gosh, yeah. And, she just talked about how divorce was never an option. Yeah. That was never going to be on the table. But misery was. And they just, kind of settled for that. So,
and I would imagine y'all's heart for Seacoast couples would be for people to stay married and not be miserable.
Well, I think that people don't realize that it is possible. But it does take work. Yeah. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah.